Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, TJ Watt, and the Pittsburgh Steelers host Quinshon Judkins, Dillon Gabriel, and the Cleveland Browns in an awesome AFC North rivalry matchup. These games are so fun to break down because they just make you feel like football is fully back. We got a big AFC North. Two teams that don't like each other squaring off. Physical, blue blood teams punching each other in the face throughout the day. The entire day will be reliant on, I believe, the ground game. Yes, Aaron Rodgers still has the juice throwing the football, but I believe this team is going to try and keep it on the ground. Kenneth Gainwell, he has had success on the ground this season. It's tough to say as of right now about Jaylen Warren. I'm making this video on a Wednesday. I got to go out here and have a game day prepared of what I'm going to say. And when you don't know a couple of things, you just got to go with what you've got. Kenneth Gainwell has run the rock well. I think he's going to have an established role for Pittsburgh in this Week 6 matchup. Now, going up against Myles Garrett, and Carson Schweschinger poses a number of challenges. I really feel that the ground game makes the most sense. Why? Because, again, Calvin Austin and his status is unknown for this game. And Cleveland possesses a weapon in Denzel Ward, which is a guy that can mitigate your success on the outside. What is that? It's DK Metcalf, who's establishing a larger role in this offense, clearly the wide receiver one, and Pittsburgh doesn't really have a wide receiver two that they can go to. It had been Jaylen Warren was their second leading receiver, Calvin Austin was their second leading guy, and then behind that, it's Jonnu Smith, Brett Freiermuth, the two tight ends. It's a DK Metcalf-oriented offense. I think this is low scoring, a lot of good defensive play on both ends. Look, Jalen Ramsey with the hamstring injury, he's been limited in practice. His status, it looks like he will be a go. That's important going up against Jerry Jeudy and that Cleveland Brown passing attack. But for Cleveland, I think it's similar to Pittsburgh. Why not give Quinshon Judkins his heaping of carries? When they give the football to this kid, he just makes teams pay. He was carrying them on his literal back against Minnesota in that game. Look, did he have a ton of success? And was it just dominant on the ground? No, but he has been great. He's been the biggest bright spot for Cleveland and their offense, a big part of why they beat Green Bay and how they stuck around, because they stuck with Quinshon on the grounds. 5 yards to carry about on this season. He's got to get in the box a little bit more, but he's run for 20 first downs. The offense has run through several different guys. Of course, there's Jerry Jeudy, but Njoku, Harold Fannin, there's a lot of oriented play around the tight ends, playing 11 and 12 personnel, which Stefanski loves to do, quarterback under the center, which is different from than what Dillon Gabriel did a lot for Brent Venables at Oklahoma and what he did for Stein and Dan Lanning at Oregon. I mean, I saw the guy play against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. That was a matchup a lot of Browns fans know quite very well. Judkins going there. They're happy about that. But with Dillon Gabriel in this offense, he likes to throw in rhythm. That's what Oregon did very well. And then there'd be the play action attack that they had at Oregon and what they have with the Browns now. That's why you get Quinshon Judkins going, because when he does, those linebackers have to stay put. They're keying into the run first. They have to respect Judkins and the run, and that's when you have play action behind it. The tight ends can be major factors. Getting the ball out of Dillon Gabriel's hands is paramount in this game when there's a TJ Watt on the other side. Now, Alex Highsmith, once again, his status for this game is unknown. There's a whole bunch of unknowns. Again, Joey Porter, questionable. It looks like both these teams, predominantly Pittsburgh, dealing with more injuries, but you got to play. Neither team is ever going to feel sorry for someone in the NFL. Injuries are such a part of the schematics and what happens in these games as teams develop. Cleveland's been relatively a little bit healthier, but again, like without a star in Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from the start of the season with the neck, that's a player that makes you say, Pittsburgh, you got injuries? Yeah, get in line, but guys, because we've already had to deal with our fair share. We've got one of the best defenses in football, even without JOK on the field. Now, again, I talked a little bit about what Cleveland's offense looks like. Now, defensively, what they can do with Schweschinger and Devin Bush as linebackers is as balanced as any guys. Good against the pass. They are terrific coming up and hitting people I really think that this is low scoring just because there doesn't seem to be a talent advantage anywhere you look at Cleveland trying to attack with Judkins. Like, do you think Judkins is going to have over 5 yards of carry against Pittsburgh's front? Probably not. Or they have an advantage with the wide receiver core? Probably not going up against Pittsburgh, or Pittsburgh vice versa, because you've got a Denzel Ward to cover DK Metcalf. There's no innate advantage that you have. So really, as you try and dive deeper into this thing, it does look like this game can stay close, but then you go back to quarterback play. The veteran Aaron Rodgers, the Super Bowl champion, lost 4 NFC championships, but then that going up against Dillon Gabriel as a rookie. The experience helps in these types of games. Rivalry, if it's a one-score game, Pittsburgh is fine dragging any and every single team in the NFL into the deep end, forcing your quarterback to make throws on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, late in the game to try and sustain drives and score points. And frankly, they could not do that against Minnesota. This is a very comparable defense in Pittsburgh to what Minnesota has. Great up front with their front four, good backers, physical secondary behind it where they're opportunistic and can beat you up really on any play, getting pressure on Dillon Gabriel. So far on the season, the Browns have struggled a bit to protect the quarterback. 9 sacks from Flacco before he came out, and then 2 on Dillon Gabriel overall on the season. That's a bit. So you send Flacco away to Cincinnati. I get it. Look, I understand the trade in a sense of Flacco. I fully understand it. You'd seen enough of Flacco. I get that. You don't have to try and explain that to me. Now it's like, all right, Dillon Gabriel, what do you get from him? Let's see him for 4 weeks. If he doesn't have it, let's go to Shedeur Sanders, and at least you know what you have in your quarterbacks, right? If you're Cleveland, you get an idea of what those quarterbacks are, and you can understand. So I'm all for that. And then there is news that Deshaun Watson could be returning in the next month or so from the Achilles. Right, he's been getting back into the ability to try and start practicing again. So that is interesting as you look at it. You could see maybe Gabriel for a couple of games. If it's up and down, you throw Shedeur out there. Do people want to talk about the off-field and him and his personality? There is a whole lot of that. But look, you do have to see what he has as a quarterback and if he can win football games for you. I'm leaning with Pittsburgh in this game. The veteran at quarterback. Both of these teams have 2 of the best defensive players in football. I'd, as of right now, give a slight nod probably to Myles Garrett. He's been incredible early in the season. One of those guys you have to game plan for. Cleveland, you have to clearly game plan for TJ Watt. There's not many football players on the defensive side of the ball better than these guys. Now, I said I have a lean with Pittsburgh. I got to go with them. I believe that they come out with the win in this game. The veteran ability of Aaron Rodgers going up against the youngster in Dillon Gabriel. This is going to be a fun one. Can't wait for this. I believe that Pittsburgh ends up with the win 20-17. Again, low scoring. They come up with a takeaway or 2 when they need it, but don't be surprised if the Cleveland Browns keep this game very close. Let me know down below in the comments who you ultimately think comes out with the win. I make NFL and college videos every day, so if you enjoyed, please subscribe for more content in the future. I appreciate you guys so much, and thank you for watching. Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blunder. To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.